My first graders just finished up these royal self portraits for our Artime art show, and I thought I would share the process with you. It's a project I've done quite a bit, and it's always really fun and successful. We start by reading The Colors of Us, and we talk about creating our own skin tone. No matter what a child's skin tone is, I tell them to start with white. This makes it so that there is of some viscosity, some movement on their paper when they're mixing color. If they have a skin tone that's kind of peachy, we add yellow to that white, and then we add a little bit of red. I emphasize that red is a color that likes to take over the world. So to use a little bit at a time, mostly so it's not a constant battle for the kids. When they're finished making that kind of orange color, then we add white to make it light. So it's a great conversation about creating tints and, of course, shades. If we have friends that have a different skin tone than peachy than mine, then we talk about adding white first, again, regardless of what skin tone, to add some viscosity and movement to the paper, and then brown if their skin is brown, and we talk about, again, skin tone. If it's a light brown, then we talk about tint again and adding white. If it's a darker skin tone, then we introduce the word shade and we talk about adding black. When the kids are mixing their skin tones, their palettes have white, black, brown, red, and yellow. Then we do some guided drawing when those papers are dry. My students trace around a head shape and a neck. We begin by creating a little curve for our nose. We talk about different kinds of lines they can use so they have a lot of choices. And then creating white for our eyes, the colors of our irises, and using black. I'm sped the video up, of course, just so that you don't have to sit and listen to me talk you through all of this. But I go a lot slower with my students. Drawing their face usually takes us one 30-minute class. And I am using Portfolio brand oil pastels by Crayola. I have just found that these worked really well for this process. The best part of this project is the teeth. So to do the teeth, you draw the black line, then the vertical lines, and then we talk about coloring away some of our teeth that are missing or growing in. Like I said, that takes us a good 30 minutes. The following art class, because I have 30-minute classes, my students then cut out their head shape, going very slowly and carefully. From there, we get a brand new sheet of paper that we glue our head to. I hate glue bottles, so we use glue cups and glue brushes. So we always put glue around the edges. I emphasize that glue does not need to be in the middle. I make sure to have them match up the bottom of the neck with the bottom of the paper. The following day, we talk about, or actually that very day after they cut and glue, we talk about hairstyles because painting hair doesn't take that long. They have the same paint tray as before, except this time I add the color orange for my friends who have auburn colored hair. Then when the hair is complete, it's time to start working on the crowns or the backgrounds. I'm just going to go ahead and skip the crowns for now. I'll come back to it. I would never usually have them work on their backgrounds while the oil pastel or while the paint is wet. But for the sake of this demonstration, that's what I'm going to do. So I tell the kids they're going to use water-soluble oil pastels. Those Crayola Portfolio brand are water-soluble, meaning you can add water to them and they kind of turn into a paint. I tell them that they have to pick warm or cold colors. So now it's a great lesson in color theory. And they have to make radiating lines that start at their head and radiate or come away from, and they have to make them all the way to the edge of their paper. That usually takes them an entire 30 minutes. And the following art class, we then go over those oil pastel lines with a wet brush. And I really emphasize making sure to be extra careful because I don't want them to drip drop watery paint all over their beautiful masterpiece so far. So they're very careful about going slowly and carefully, painting a little bit of water just to kind of fill in those white spots and to give it more of a painterly look. Once that's complete, as you can tell, this is a long project, we then start working on the crowns. I have 3 crown templates for my students to choose from. They trace around that and cut it out. I found at actually the Dollar Tree, there's some metallic papers that you can purchase, and I just kind of cut them into little squares at the paper cutter. That's what the kids used as the jewels for their crown. So once their crown was finished, then they added the jewels and then glued it to the crown of their head. Last but not least, we added a shirt. So I had these little semicircle shapes pre-cut. I showed them 3 ways they could make their shirt. Just glue it plain, add a collar, or add a little doily for lace. This, like I said, was a long project, but they all turned out so stinking amazing, and we learned so much along the way. Thanks for letting me share, guys.